So I was walking by a shopping center on the way home from work when I saw a sign of an arcade. So I thought, why not? Then I just headed right in. I didn't even last more than 5 minutes before getting tinnitus and I had to leave. That cranky middle-age experience aside, it got me reminiscing about the arcade games that I used to play back then. There were quite a few, but I did have a blast playing Metal Slug. The running, jumping, gunning, turning into a mummy, and spending the handful of change I had just to keep going. So, now back to the present. With the lack of any arcade cabinet nor the time to get a ROM and use an emulator, it was quite lucky for me that, Steam had it. So I downloaded Metal Slug and started my trip down memory lane. The classic run and gun. Shoot bad guys, throw grenades, and pick up better stuff before fighting the boss at the end of every level. Oh, can't forget to save the prisoners as well. All that for an arbitrary number at the end to instill some purpose and drive to move you forward for a higher number. We also can't forget the iconic tank. Just like basing it on my childhood memories, this is what always came to mind when someone asks me of what a fiction tank would look like. The design of it gives off that funky aesthetic that animes back then had and clearly carried over to this. Anyway, let's get into it. So gameplay using keyboard controls did feel odd for the first 2 run-throughs. There was a lot of noticeable delay, at least for me. And well, since I didn't have an arcade stick, and honestly having an arcade stick just hits differently back then with the audible feedback with the machining inside of it. I did try to use a controller to play, but that did not work out so well with the Steam version. Whoa, wait, what? Huh? What's this? Oh, this is bad. Okay, let's not do that. So I ripped the controller cable right off. Never again shall I subject myself to that. So, I'll just be sticking it out using the keyboard until the end. And that's when I realized that I remembered things wrongly. Well, specifically the mummy levels, the other characters, and the transformations. Those were all in the sequel. I thought they were in a single game. I'm honestly not sure what was happening in the arcade in the past that I used to go to. Guessing they just combined both games so you just keep playing it? I really don't know. But yeah, I was quite surprised that Metal Slug 1 was only 6 levels. Though running it through, I pretty much hit the end of the game in the first arc. But I did have infinite credits, so that meant infinite lives. Oh god, this was pay to win back then. Nah, it wasn't. But it does alleviate stress if you're not as skillful. Being better mainly meant you won't eat through your change back then. Anyway, I decided that I want to do it like I did back then, with only a handful of change. Fortunately, I am able to select how many credits I'd have. And basing it on before, sometimes on a good day I'd have enough for 10 credits. So let's go with that. Okay, you may be wondering, where is his live commentary of playing? Well, this is a frantic run and gun game, and I did have my mic recording, but it was mostly like this. Crap. Okay. Yes. So nothing much really happening in my commentary there. Anyway, here comes the fun bit of relearning the levels and boss fights. I knew I didn't have it in me to sit down for the rest of the weekend to try and clear it perfectly without any lives lost. I only had about 3 or so hours for the day to do this, so I had to make sure to remember patterns in the early levels to save my lives. for the later ones, where I'll definitely need it. After a few attempts, either pushing farther or just dying much earlier because of RNG, I figured out that I have a decent reserve at level 5. Then I'd be able to tank my way through all the way to level 6. So after constant deaths and resets, remembering that I still hate that triple gate roadblock thing just before the boss at level 5, I was able to make it to level 4 without using any credits. So, here's the final run. There are many fumbles, mistakes, keyboard just deciding to not read my inputs. But by the end, I was able to take down the helicopter. And having one spare credit, which back then I would have bought either a soda or popsicle, and happily walked home feeling accomplished. You know, this was a nice trip down memory lane, and if you also enjoyed that, do subscribe. I'll definitely do more of this, trying to reminisce on older retro games, so feel free to comment what you'd suggest for the next one. I'll see you next time.